Hello and welcome to this presentation from the Urban Penguin. My name is Andrew Mallett and you can see that we're using CentOS 7 from our hostname, and we're going to be look at how on Enterprise 7, either Red Hat or CentOS 7, how we can manage our iSCSI targets. This is an objective for your Red Hat Certified Engineer course. And we'll be looking at creating an iSCSI target on our CentOS 7 machine. This is very different from managing it within Enterprise Linux 6, so it's a good idea to take a look at this video and get yourself ready. I've installed my machine as a graphical environment, but we'll be managing it from the command line, but I haven't done anything other than a standard install. So I don't think I've got anything particularly useful installed, but we've got a program called Target CLI. We could also manage it through the web, but in this video we'll be looking at managing our targets from the command line. The Target CLI I haven't installed, but it does come in its own no architecture package if you do need to install it. So you can see that I'm running as root, and I'm going to run the command target CLI, and this will take me through to my interactive shell for creating targets of different sorts. We're going to create an iSCSI target, and we can create an iSCSI target, a device that shares out disk or raw disk data to iSCSI clients or initiators. We can create the target on a file or on a raw disk device. But to the client, whether it's a file or a raw disk device or an LVM, what we are sharing out will always appear as a raw disk device and will have to be partitioned and formatted up. So if you're uncertain of what iSCSI is, an iSCSI target shares out disks. These disks are raw disk devices, as if you had connected a new disk that's unformatted to your machine. It becomes a way of a central storage server on your network. As I say, for this we'll just use a simple file, but we'll be sharing that out as a raw disk to our client. So I can use tab completion here, so we have to say, well, where is the store going to be? And we're using a file rather than a block device. We then create. We're going to call our target, if you like, we can just call it test, or our file test. And we're going to say that it's going to be created as test.img at 100 meg. So that will create the file for us, and that file we're going to share out as a raw disk device. We're going to share it out through iSCSI, so we can go through iSCSI create, and we'll set up our iSCSI qualified name. So that's then going to be 2014-07, and then normally the reverse DNS name, so the Urban Penguin, and then a colon, and we'll call it target 1, so TGT1. So once we've got this in place, we can hit enter, and we can see then that it created our iSCSI target, and it's created it underneath the TPG directory, and we'll see where all of this goes in, but ultimately this is being created in a JSON file. If we move into then the iSCSI directory, we can move down then to our iSCSI target and then our configuration directory within there. Again, I'm just using tab completion at the command line. We're then going to create our portals. So portals, create. So the portal is really now setting up the server to share this out. And we can see that we are sharing this out now on TCP IP port 3260. We're binding to any IP version 4 address, So we've now created that portal. Had we looked at our network configuration before we had gone into this, we would not have seen 3260 running, but we've now created an instance of our target server. We now go through and run LUNs, create. So we're now creating a logical unit to share out on our iSCSI target. So we're in the iSCSI target directory. We've created the portal. We're now creating a LUN, a logical target on our system. So LUNs and create. And then we have to specify, well, where are we using it? So this is then the file that we created earlier. So we created our new store and we're using then that store. So saying that we've created LUN 0. We want to be able to use this simply at the moment, so we're going to set the attribute. We're setting the attribute authentication, and we're going to set that to equal 0, so we don't need to authenticate to it. And then we're going to set up our access control list, which is essentially saying if we don't have to authenticate, well, the node ACLs then will be pretty empty anyway. But we go through with our set attribute, generate node ACLs, and we'll turn that on. We've now done it, it's set up, so we can exit out and we can see conveniently on the screen everything that we've had to do. Hit the enter key, and this information then we can see that we've stored it both in the backup directory and then in our save config.json, and these are all located in /etc/target. Let's clear the screen and look at netstat -ant, and we can see now that we've got port 3260 open, so this then becomes our target daemon. So from a client point of view, if we want to be able to see this, we can use iSCSI, Adam, and then --mode. So we can use --, or if you prefer, you can just use -m. We want to run discovery. So this is pretty much the same client as you've had in Red Hat Enterprise Linux 6 and CentOS 6. --, type, send targets. The portal that we want to go to, so --, portal. So we'll just use then the local host. And we want to do --, discover. So when we take a look at this, we can now see that we are sharing out that disk. If we want to make the disk available, we can do that. First of all, we'll look at ls block just to see the block devices that I have. So I have my floppy disk, SDA, and then SR0. So we're going to go back into our iSCSI admin. Let's just clear this out. This time we can go into the mode, and it's going to be node. And then --, target name. So this is going to be then our IQN, so IQN. So we specify the IQN as we had created it. Remember, we have the colon on the end and then the target name. The portal, so --, portal, 127.0.0.1, and then --, login. Now when we look at ls block, we can see now that I've got the client disk SDB now connected and showing as that 100 meg disk the disk file that we created. And of course I would need to go through and partition this up and format it for it to be available. So we can see that iSCSI is a way of sharing out disks, and we've looked at using the command line tool target CLI in CentOS 7 to manage our iSCSI targets. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you back on theurbanpenguin.com very soon.